St. Louis, how are you feeling? It's been a couple days now since the draft. Actually, it's only been one day since the remainder of the draft. And I am feeling pretty good. A lot of good things happen with the Blues. And you and I, we talked about that late last night. We had some late night thoughts. But I am excited to get more into depth about the draft and what impressed me. And of course, the Are We Feeling Blues segment. This is all coming up on Locked on Blues.
You're Locked on Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
First off, thank you guys so much for listening to Locked On Blues and making this your first listen every single day. Make sure you download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. St. Louis. St. Louis. Wow. It has been quite a couple days, and I want to know what you think. I've seen your comments, and you seem to be happy. You seem to be positive. You seem to be optimistic. But I need to tell you about one person in particular that kind of made me take a step back and say, you know what? I think I screwed up on being too judgmental, too harsh right away. And that is Army, Doug Armstrong. I have to tell you, St. Louis, I really believed that he would somehow mess this up. Okay, I'm not playing games out here. I really did. I thought to myself, you know, Hale, this is the best draft class possible. There's no way that he does a decent job. There's no way. I know him well enough to know that he could potentially have messed up. But then when he got Dvorsky, it hit me. This man deserves my apologies. So, Doug Armstrong, if you were listening to Locked on Blues, I am sorry. For those that don't know me, my name is Haley Simon, and I've been covering the NHL now for about 5 seasons. It all began when the St. Louis Blues went to the Stanley Cup Finals, and I've been doing it ever since. I also work in sports radio, so I'm used to comments. I'm used to people disagreeing with me. That is a very common thing here in sports talk radio. So if you're listening on any of our streaming services, if you're watching on YouTube, hello, how are you? Make sure to leave a comment. And if you don't want to comment maybe on the video, but you want to reach out to me, you can always message me at Locked on Blues on Twitter and let me know your opinions. I want us to have a good relationship. I want you and I to be able to talk things blues, even when the podcast is not going. And it's been such a hectic week in my own personal life. I have moved. Yes, I'm at the studio right now because the Wi-Fi situation is still being set up. And my episode last night, total transparency, it took 8 hours to upload. So I wanted to make sure that this discussion that we're going to be having today is able to be heard at a reasonable time and not at 4 a.m. That was not the time that I wanted it to be, but it was the time that I had to unfortunately just wait until. So with all of that being said, I was impressed with Army. Looking back at it and looking at the picks and kind of getting a better understanding of what the St. Louis Blues did, I feel better. Of course, I'm going to be upset about Quentin Musty still being on the board when we could have had him. As a fan base, I feel like collectively, this was the most collective I've ever seen all of St. Louis Blues fan base. We all wanted Quentin Musty, and unfortunately that did not happen. But it's one of those things where you have to just let it go. Let it go. I can't sing, but folks, Doug Armstrong obviously knows what he's doing. He knows the choices that he is making, and you have to just trust in that. And that's what I'm going to do. But even getting Otto Stenberg, who I like a lot, and it's nice because today all the guys, and I want to talk about this, they all posted on their social media. So Otto said, quote, "Dreams come true. Super happy and excited to be a part of the St. Louis Blues organization. Thanks to everyone who helped me along the way. Let's go Blues." I love that. I love seeing these young players be ecstatic about being here in St. Louis. Dvorsky posted too. Quote, I am extremely excited to be part of the St. Louis Blues organization and would like to thank everyone who helped me to get here. Hashtag let's go Blues. And that is right, you guys. Let's go Blues. And this is the thing. I think these kids are still super young and it's probably very overwhelming. Like all of a sudden you're on a professional, hockey team while you're selected to be in the organization, right? So clearly there's going to be one of those things where you're going to be, sentimental, but it makes me happy. Even Theo Lindstein, he said, quote, dreams come true. And I got drafted by the St. Louis Blues. And it's one of those things where I see these kids posting and sometimes there's no words. Sometimes it's a moment where you have to take a step back and just say, wow, I am witnessing somebody having their dream come true. And I think that is one of the most beautiful things in life. And being a hockey fan, we as hockey fans, you and I as hockey fans, witness players throughout their career. We see them when they first begin, maybe when they're still I'm in the OHL, when they're then finally in the AHL, and then it just we see them throughout their careers. So seeing the future of our team, it's one of those things. It, it I had to take a step back because I just got chills. For those that are listening and was like, oh my God, why was Haley being silent? I just got chills. I really did. My heart is racing because I remember my own self and when my dreams came true. I went to West Virginia University. I love talking sports, and it was so much work to get to the position where I'm at today. And the moment I got to where I'm at, I remember the first people that I wanted to tell were my mom and my dad. I didn't care about my friends. I didn't care. I mean, I obviously care about my friends, but I wanted to tell my parents. And I got chills because seeing some of these guys' photos and just seeing their families, because I was looking at that just now, it put me in that perspective of I think you can relate to something in your life happening that was just so phenomenal, so extraordinary, so brilliant and beautiful and everything. And of course, you can kind of relate to the fact that there's nothing better than watching somebody's dreams come true. And it's not even that their dream is coming true for them, it's coming true for you, and it's coming true for me because it's coming true for the St. Louis Blues. And that's something that I think really just gave me chills because right now, what is happening is this team is in a rebuild, not a rebuild, in a retool. Don't take that out of context, people. They're in a retooling era. And seeing these centers, these defensemen that are so talented, it makes you wonder, is the cup closer to us than we think? But before I get into that, I was getting a little ahead of myself. I was like, oh man, I want to tell you guys about my friends at Bird Dogs. Bird Dogs are a stretchy khaki short. They're awesome. They make your legs look good. They sculpture it out. Like I'm telling you, spot on A1. So make sure you go to birddogs.com/LockedOnNHL for a free Yeti style tumbler with your order. That's birddogs.com/LockedOnNHL for a free Yeti style tumbler. You won't want to take your bird dogs off. We promise you. Can this season just begin already? Seriously, can the hockey season just begin? Can we fast forward a little bit? Can we fast forward the time? We have our prospects camp this weekend. Super cool, exciting, something to look forward to. I just want some hockey. I am hungry. There are some moves that St. Louis does need to make. Okay. Free agency tomorrow. What is the thoughts? What's going through our head? Let's talk about it really fast. No, I don't think they're going to be getting back Ryan O'Reilly. They drafted so many centers. I believe that in hockey, to be dominant, you need strong players, and centers are just such strong players, and it takes time to develop them. To be blunt, that's one of the hardest positions to develop besides goalies. Um, Centers are the rock and core of your team. So the fact that Armstrong drafted so many centers, it just proves to me that they're not going to bring O'Reilly back. They now have Kevin Hayes. They are not going to try to get any centers during this free agency. But it makes me wonder about one other question. Is my theory about the goalies about to come true? Now, I said in a previous episode of Locked on Blues that I do believe having a veteran goalie would be beneficial. And while Benner is awesome and Hofer is, our up and coming star, I still would kind of like that little bit of security to just have an elite veteran backup, well, third string goalie or backup, whatever it is next season. I don't think it's a bad thing. We saw a lot of teams this season utilize multiple goalies. I mean, look at the Vegas Golden Knights. They went through 6 goalies this past season. A little extreme, but it's still to my point that sometimes in hockey, you do need to go through a bunch of goalies to find your solid core of guys. And let's go say Benner is injured. I hope he is not ever injured. Like, I love Benner. Jay Bins, I'm sorry, but let's go say he is, okay? You would need a guy to back up Hoffer. You would need a guy that could potentially be the backup. You don't want to gamble with only having 2 goalies. That is so silly in this day and age where there are so many talented goalies out there. Goalies can play later. You don't have to be young and be a goalie. Now, it's better to be young and be a good goalie, but you don't have to be, because that is the one position in hockey that you could play until 40. Like, I'm not saying 40 is old for you. I'm not saying it's old for me. I'm not 40, but I'm just saying, folks, that it's okay to be a little bit older and play in net. Free agency for goalies is all right. It's not the best. Alex Lyon, I believe Vegas is going to re-sign Aiden Hill, who would have been the best option because he just won that cup in Viva Las Vegas. But I don't want the Vegas Golden Knights to have a back-to-back. I love my friends over at Locked On Golden Knights, but I don't want them to go back-to-back. I want St. Louis to go back to the cup. I want St. Louis to have an opportunity to potentially hoist that cup up again. Why Vegas? Why not St. Louis? People, I'm telling you, people overlook the Blues. They really do. I was watching the ESPN draft coverage because I was honestly kind of confused about it. And the reason why I was confused was because of this. 2 things. 1, St. Louis got all this hype towards the end of the first round. Where was that hype going into it? St. Louis is a dominant team for the past, 5 seasons? Okay. We didn't make the playoffs this season. Okay. A lot of teams didn't make the playoffs this season that usually make the playoffs. What's good, Penguins? What's good, Capitals? I'm not hating. I'm just saying that there were some really good teams that didn't make the playoffs. And I feel disrespected in a way. And I'll tell you why. The Blues have such a bright future. It's not like one of these other teams that are a little fugazi and, they were just good for a couple seasons and then they're going to get bad again. Like the Panthers, because I don't know what they're doing. Even the Predators. Like, it's one of those things where you need to look around the NHL. The Coyotes, never going to be good. I'm sorry, but that's not happening. The Ducks, no. The Blackhawks, probably will be really good. Kind of concerns me. I'm still really mad that I got that first overall. I hate so much that they not only got Connor Bedard, but they got Oliver Moore, which was a guy that you and I talked about on here. So that sucks. But they also recently just got Taylor Hall from the Bruins. So Chicago's loaded. Okay, no capping that. The Capitals, they're not that good. Like, you have to look around the NHL. There are more bad teams than good teams. Okay? That's a reality. I'm being completely honest, that's a reality. This past season, the St. Louis Blues looked like a mediocre team. Now, not in reality, because there's teams, obviously, that did worse than the Blues did, but they didn't play to the potential that they could play. Okay, fine. Everybody has an off season. It happens. This is hockey. The beautiful thing about sports is you can always try again the next season if you still make the team, which some people don't. But going back to what I was saying initially, folks, is that the Blues are in a situation, unlike most teams, where they have their core pieces and they just need a couple tools around them and they could be a playoff contending team again. I know. You think I'm crazy right now because I just said the Blues can be a playoff contending team. Why not? Not much has changed. Yes. Losing Vladdy sucks. O'Reilly, that sucks. But other than that, it's time for some of these guys to go. That's hockey. That's life. And the way that the draft went, it told me two stories. One, it told me that Army is looking to win now because the players that he took won't take a while to develop. They won't. And a guy like Dvorsky won't take a while to develop. He purposely chose guys that would not take a long time. So let's be logical here, okay? Right now I want you to think. I want you, if you're driving, don't close your eyes. But if you're not driving, close your eyes right now for 1 second. And I want you to picture the moment the Blues won the Stanley Cup in Boston. Think about how that felt. Now open your eyes. That feeling that you just felt, that feeling of butterflies and love and joy and happiness, that's closer than you think. It's going to happen. Do not for 1 second think that it won't happen again. It will happen again. And when that moment does happen, because it's going to, you can say, oh, Haley from Locked On Blues told me that it would because the Blues have good foundation, which they do. And for anybody that thinks that the Blues don't have solid foundation, what are you thinking? Seriously, the Blues have one of the most elite goaltenders in the league. The Blues, they have now, and I know Kevin Hayes isn't a superstar, but he was an all-star this past season. Yes, from a very bad team, but a bad team does not mean that every single player is bad. Let me say that again. A bad team does not mean that every single player is bad. He isn't horrible. He isn't a superstar, but he is what the Blues need. He's more experienced. He's been through, the ringer. He's been to the postseason. He knows what it takes. And our prospects are bleeping phenomenal. You can't tell me that. You can't tell me that they're not. I feel so excited about this future. And I hate the word excited because I feel like it's one of the most generic, boring, descriptive words on the planet. But that is how I feel. And you cannot discredit how I feel because my feelings are my feelings. And I'm allowed to feel good about my hockey team. All right. So you know what else makes me feel really good? I'm going to take a guess. I was about to do the most dramatic pause, and as soon as I was about to speak, I began laughing because, I literally just, pointed my phone, game time! That's what makes me feel good. Game Time is the best ticketing service. You download the Game Time app. You get your tickets instantly. It only takes 2 swipes. Boom, boom, tickets on your phone. So make sure you download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Locked On NHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code Locked On NHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. All right. It's Friday, so you know what that means. Are we feeling blue? I'm blue, ba ba be da da da. Obviously, by my dancing, I'm feeling happy. I am feeling good. I feel excited. I know that the future looks bright, and you should feel good too. You should feel good. If any one of you says, I'm feeling blue today, I don't feel good, why? Let me know. What else could have Doug done to make this draft any better? Please let me know in the comments down below here on Locked On Blues. Because from my perspective, the draft went really great. It wasn't the best draft. It wasn't the worst draft. It was a good draft. And that's a great compliment coming from me because I'm usually very negative. Yes. Would have a Quentin Musty elevated my good to a great? It would have. But you can't think like that. Maybe this weekend will help me get over this. And that's the other thing, folks, that you have to keep in mind is that in life, not just with the draft, not just with hockey, expectations sometimes are a little too high. You have to bring it down a little bit. Trust me, I do that all the time. You have to bring the expectations down. I'm not saying expect the worst. I usually do, but I'm not saying that you have to. But you have to remember this is what the Blues' front office's job to do. It's to choose the best possible players. And maybe there was something in Musty, maybe we will never know the answer, that they did not like. And it sucks. I completely understand if that's why you're upset about the draft, because I am too. That's why I'm not saying that it was great. It was good, but not great. A Musty would have made it great. A Quentin Musty would have made it so great. And then seeing Quentin Musty get selected after the Blues enraged me. I'm going to be honest. I was sitting there watching, and I was like, if they call his name next, I might lose my mind because I had him going then at 29. As you can tell, I'm a little hyper, but it is true. I really did say I think Musty will go at 29, and then he obviously went at 26. So, you know what was also really weird about the draft that I don't think I touched on? Two players got picked a little bit later than I expected them to be, who I talked about here on Locked On Blues, and that was Zach Benson and then Axel Sandell Palika. They both got drafted a little later than I predicted them, and I've done so many mock drafts. I've done so much draft coverage, and when I saw that, I was like, really? This is when they get selected? Now, granted, this draft class was absolutely bleeping beautiful, and even Adam Fantelli, he got drafted third overall, which, again, surprised me. But it's one of those things where anything can happen in the draft. And a lot of Russian guys this year, and obviously I know Dvorsky, but okay. Let me have like a 2-second rant before this episode ends that I need to get off my chest. I hate so much for these players that some of them are not able to just play in the NHL right away because of the KHL and the power that it holds over them. I can't imagine getting selected by an NHL team and you can't play because they won't let you over in Russia. I think that whole situation is crazy. I feel bad for the guys. Obviously, they're still able to play hopefully one day for the NHL. But it's one of those things where I think it's insane. And you know what was really nice? So Dvorsky said something, and that kind of warms my heart. So the Blues jersey that he wore on draft night, he said that was the first NHL jersey that he ever put on because he didn't want to put on any other NHL jersey that wasn't his own. What a gem. And on that note, you guys, I hope that made you feel good if you're feeling blue. I will see you on Monday. Of course, if anything at all happens this weekend, any breaking news, I will have another emergency episode. Last week's was really fun, and I know you guys enjoyed me just popping on as I was about to head out the door to go out. I was like, oh, hey, what's up, Blues? I have plans, but not for long. All right, guys. All righty. I will talk to you. My hair's all over the place. But lastly, let's go Blues. See you on Monday.